Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are doing well. I just wanted to come and share some time with you. I'm going to be working on myself this morning. I've just finished doing my devotion and having some time tea just to get myself, hydrated and started for the day. And so I wanted to come and share my continuation time, as I mentioned, because I'm going to start working on myself. And I actually have been spending time in one of my throwback wellness publications that's called I Am Wellness. And so I decided that before I actually start doing the process in here, I wanted to actually share this with you as well and invite you to join me, during this time. So, of course, normally before working on myself, I love to get hydrated, and I encourage that the before, sometimes during and after, the process. But since I'm not going to be drinking water this morning starting off, I like to start my morning off with herbal tea. So I have time tea this morning. So I've been sipping on this, and I'm going to take a few more sips. So give me just a moment. And if you're planning to work along with me, definitely have your tea or your warm beverage or just water, anything that can hydrate you just on the onset of getting started. Okay. It's still really nice and hot. So I'll already have it ready for me, after. And then I also will be drinking water. So as you probably can hear, I'm a little stopped up in a sense, and it's because we've had weather patterns shifting again. So environmentally, the temperatures can be extreme cold, and then it gets really warm. And sometimes that is a lot on the body for adjustment. Even a very healthy body can still run into having a little something going on just based on what's happening environmentally. So, as you all know, I love to do deep breathing. That's one of my more extensive works that I do from the holistic wellness, vantage point. And so I want to take you through this process in the I Am Wellness publication. But I'm going to read just a little bit to you so that we can get started. But before we actually do, let's take 3 nice deep breaths, please. Okay. All right, so I'm going to read just a little bit to you here. It says the overall goal for wellness is to focus only on the truth of already being in a state of wholeness. Your birthright is wholeness. We never want to give too much attention to contrast discomforts. However, we can allow those experiences to be divine messengers as an invitation to level up our wellness agenda. You are wellness, and wellness is you. Your truth is wholeness. So take authority of your wellness agenda and begin to command from your wellness reality for your highest and best good. Begin telling yourself every day that you are well. The power of I am wellness energy is always available to you to access. And so, with that being said, with the DIY bodywork, that's your opportunity each day, or however you are guided, to elevate yourself in your well-being and to access that place of I am wellness, already coming from the place that you are well and you are whole and you are healthy or healed. And then reverse engineering kind of the situation or whatever you find yourself in to flow from that place of truth. And that way, as you are working on yourself, whether it is to come to a certain level of healing and wholeness, or you're just maintaining or sustaining or taking to the next level your wellness agenda, just know that it's important that the mindset is how you have to flow from that already state of beingness. And so Hippocrates actually share a quote in here from Hippocrates where he says, healing is a matter of time, but sometimes it's also a matter of opportunity. And so within these sacred space times of working on yourself and spending time with your body, that is the opportunity for you to take your well-beingness to the next level. So what I want to do before we actually start doing some body work, and I'm going to allow myself to be guided, this morning. I do know I'm going to work on my immunity, for sure, and invite you into that and work on the sinus area, as well, but also opening up the space for it just to be a time for you to do your own freestyle of how you feel guided, to move forward, to support yourself as you jumpstart your day. So I have an exercise in here. It's a guided exercise, and it's called your Inner Wellness Sanctuary, and it is a daily exercise. And so I'm going to invite you as I share with you this exercise, and I'm going to be, doing it as well, but obviously guiding you through it. So it says, close your eyes and imagine that you are at a staircase, and you are making plans to step up into your inner wellness sanctuary place within your higher realm of wellness consciousness. So take a deep breath and step up to the first step and say, I am open to optimum wellness. I am open to optimum wellness. Now breathe and step up to the next step. And say, wellness is my inheritance. Wellness is my inheritance. Now breathe. And step up to the next step. I achieve wellness effortlessly. I achieve wellness effortlessly. Now breathe. And step up to the next step. And say, wellness is my natural way of being. Wellness is my natural way of being. Now breathe. And step up to the next step. And say, I invite wellness to join me in all that I do. I invite wellness to join me in all that I do. Now breathe. And step up to the next step. And say, wellness is my partner. Wellness is my partner. Now breathe. And step up to the next step. And say, wellness is joyful. Wellness is joyful. Now breathe. And step up to the next step. And say, wellness is delightful. Wellness is delightful. Now breathe and step up to the next step and say, I am ready for optimum wellness. I am ready for optimum wellness. Now breathe. And now step up to the next step, which is the final step in this process. And say, I am wellness. I am wellness. And take about 3 deep breaths. And thank you for joining me to get started with this exercise. This is one that you can definitely rinse and repeat daily or as often as you desire. And so, with having done this exercise to get started, let's just take a few moments to be present, for you to connect with your body and commune with your body so that you can know exactly how you need to work on yourself during this time. As I mentioned, I have some areas that I'm going to be working on, but I'm certainly going to allow myself to be guided. But you take this time for it to be the freestyle time for you to do whatever you need to do to bring yourself into the higher states of well-being. Again, you are welcome to follow along with me and do what I'm doing, but definitely follow your guidance to break off to do whatever it is that's going to be best for you. So I'm going to go ahead and start moisturizing my feet, and I'm feeling I may actually do some massaging on my calves, lower legs here. So it's interesting, I'm feeling guided to use both some nourishing lotion here and also a little bit of essential oil. So let me just go ahead and get started. And what I'm doing actually too during this time, continue to invite you, is that tune into your body and start knowing how you need to proceed, moving forward as you are, moisturizing, yourself here. So, just going to get some moisturization going. And, let's see here. I normally don't use both essential oil and lotion on the same area when I'm working on myself, but for whatever reason I'm feeling that guidance, and so I'm going to do that. And maybe it is that I needed to start with my lower calves first. So that may be that I'm actually just using the lotion there, and then my feet will probably have the essential oil, which is the ginger oil that I use. So I'm actually going to stretch out a little bit because I'm feeling guided to actually work and do a little bit of massaging just on my lower legs here. So just doing some rubbing there. Rub my knees too. So, I'm going to get some ginger oil here. I'll leave it out of the box for the time being in case I have to come back and get some more. So I'm going to start, oiling up my feet here. Okay. All right, let me see if I can position myself accordingly for the camera. All right. So as I mentioned, that I feel guided that I'm going to work on my immunity, and great majority of our immune system is found within our intestinal tract. So I'm going to start working in this area. From here to here is where you can find really your intestinal area, your colon, ascended colon. Your bladder is on this side here. So I'm going to work in the tract, and I may touch on the urinary tract, system as well, but mainly focusing in on the intestinal tract. So going to just be doing some rubbing in here just initially, just to sort of wake things up. And now I'm going to start actually just doing some rubbing in here. So hopefully you can see this, and you can be working on these areas, for yourself. Or just, rubbing, doing some massaging or so during this time. So I'm going to start doing a little what I call dot to dot. It's not unique to me. Several reflexologists or so and acupressure specialists, they use this technique and they call it that as well. So I'm just working on that area. I typically recommend staying in an area about 60 seconds. Now there are some that you've probably heard me in other videos mention that you don't have to stay as long, like in the kidney area, and I'm sure I probably will work a little bit in that area as well, but I'm just going to follow the guidance. But I just wanted to just start by working in the intestines here and stimulating the well-beingness for my immune system. And you do it as you feel guided. If you just feel guided to rub, or you do feel guided to maybe dig in a little bit and do some of that, do that, or just do the dot to dot, just work in there. All right, so that's just giving a jump start. So also I mentioned that my sinuses have not necessarily been stirred up this morning, but it is still very early, and so sometimes things just aren't warmed up, like vocal cords and just your nasal passages and everything, because you're still waking up. And so I just decided that in case it is going to be the onset of something, I want to get out ahead and start working in those areas and boosting the immunity. And that's why also too, drinking the thyme tea that I'm drinking this morning. I'm gonna have some hibiscus tea a little bit later, maybe some rose hip tea as well. So I want to start working in on my sinuses. So I am going to start digging in between the toes here, and to me that ridge just gets things started and stimulated before I actually start working on the sinus pads. So just doing the piano hands right in here and just digging in. Since I do feel not necessarily congestion, but just because I made kind of that clearing, before I actually get started with the sinus pads, I'm going to work in the lung area real quick. So just start doing a little bit of dot to dot there. Going to work on my eyes, which are right in here, to make sure that they don't start to get any type of puffiness or or congestion, or just anything that is airborne related that can cause me to be stuffy and then have an effect on my eyes. So I'm actually going to work in here. And as I mentioned, I'm allowing myself just to be guided, and you all, as I mentioned, can follow along. So with me saying that, I'm going to slow the process down so that you actually can. Again, I'm so used to being able to work, on myself and wanting to invite you all in this experience, but I do realize that some have not been following these videos and may be new, so just going to slow down just a little bit so that you can work along with me. So as I mentioned, I'm working here in the lung area. This considered, the respiratory area, and boosting my immune system. So I'm just doing this so that there's no congestion or anything that gets set, into the lungs, and it just makes the experience much more favorable and more pleasurable during the day, because we're in toxic environments. Even the healthiest of environment, air quality wise, still can at times have some poor quality, and you're breathing in different things. And so you can have your lungs to be supportive on a higher level for you, yeah, it's just going to be tremendous. So yeah, just working in here in the lungs. I'm also going to work right in here. This is the thymus gland, area. So yeah, just supporting the immune system in that way. So now I'm actually going to come and start working on the tips of the toes, the sinus pads, okay? So I'm going to do some pressing, just kind of worm walking down. And then when you feel a little hook, I'm going to work right in there, which on the big toe is where the brain is. The pituitary gland is actually in that hook. And right in here's the pineal gland. But you can stay on the sinus pads and just work in there, because I know sometimes people get a little bit tender, in this area, and I have done, videos for that, as well. But I just typically like to walk down the sinus pads as I'm working, on there. But again, feel free to just stay right here in this area. So I'm going to come over here and start just making a few little circles. And I think that's what I'm going to do, just go across the sinus pads first, just opening them up, stimulating them. So I'm feeling actually guided to work the outer side, or the tops. And normally I like to work them in a 360, the whole toe, but for whatever reason I'm feeling guided to just work the fronts. So I'm pinching or pressing with medium pressure my sinus pads, and working the fronts and kind of the sides here. And again, you use this time to work on yourself in however, whatever ways you feel guided. So I'm feeling more guided to be digging in versus so much working on the pad. So I'm just allowing myself to follow, that guidance. And already I can feel the movement in the sinuses. Just digging in. And we'll see if I'm guided to even work on my left foot. Just going to rub this ridge here. And go across this ridge. So for those of you who want to follow me, just kind of work right in here. Right, I'm going to dig in again here. Oh yeah, I can feel that movement in my sinus cavities. So I am going to actually come and work. This is the adrenal area and the kidney area here. But I'm feeling more guided to work adrenally than I am on the kidneys. So just going to do some rubbing here. Hopefully you can see that. I'll do a few little kidney hooks there. Okay, come back and rub here. Alright, so I'm going to do just some general foot rubbing here. Make sure that there's no tenderness in here, and there isn't. Great. It's the liver 3 area, so do a few little presses in here. This is the acupressure point for liver 3, right in here. You can see that. Okay. All right. Alright, so I'm going to come over to my left foot and be present in terms of the guidance here of how I need to best support myself on this foot here. So I am going to get a little bit more of the ginger oil. Feeling guided to start right in this area. So I'm actually going to work my digestive area here. It's broken off into this section from here, and then it makes a curve around here. Right in here is the pancreas. So if any of you ever have blood sugar issues or want to manage it best, you can work right in here. I typically, when I'm working the digestive system though, like to work it in one direction and kind of not work on the pancreas, you know, during that time. So I am going to do a little bit of the worm walking here. You start here and you come to about the 4th toe, under the 4th toe, and then it hooks around and comes to what is known to be the hip flexor, the hip line, I should say. So it's working that, coming down. I'm going to use this thumb to come around here though, like that. So yeah, it's just good to get that digestion going. The digestive system is, the stomach is found on the left foot. So it's working that area. Always working in one direction. Never want to work it in the opposite direction, because it potentially could back up your stomach, and we don't want that. It's okay. So I'm going to work down here in the track area. Look at the colon area as well. Already my sinuses are feeling really good. I love this work. But what I am going to do is come over now and start just working in that ridge, just doing some rubbing here. Work working the lung area again. Yeah, just boosting that immunity. So I'm feeling guided to work both sides here. I'm just digging in. And again, for those of you who are just taking this time to be present with your body and to just follow the guidance. So I'm just working the sinus pads kind of in a different way than I typically work them. Doing more rubbing than I am digging in and doing the, the walk downs, the worm walks here. And because I don't have anything major going on, it may not be required, that I do kind of the standard, what I do when I do have something major going on. So I'm just going to do some foot rubbing here. Just getting the circulation really in these sinus pads going. Having great circulation is extremely important. And also too, these are just very simple techniques, a very simple process that you can give yourself. A lot of times I don't like to get so, technical, because I want this to be just a very non-intimidating way to take care of yourself and to stimulate that higher well-beingness. Some deep breathing here, working the top of my foot here. Maybe hard for you to see that. Like I said, a lot of times I'm just inviting you all into my own space and time of working on myself. And there's nothing better than getting your day started with doing some type of devotion or spiritual practice, and just anything that can support the mind, body, and spirit. And doing the DIY body work is certainly also considered to be kind of a spiritual practice as well. So, just a way to connect and commune with your inner wellness, your well-beingness. So just moving the energy. Okay, I'm going to work on my ankles a little bit, and then I feel like I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and get myself hydrated, drink my tea. Still got a little sniffles going on, but that's okay, because at least I've worked in, the areas to get this higher well-being started for the day. And again, it's still very early, so it's in the early time. The frog's not out of your throat yet. So, and you're not as hydrated. Plays a part in everything. And I'll be coming back later on today doing a little bit more body work. I just have one meeting later, so it give me time to, work on myself a little bit more. Let's work up here in the calf area. So you all let me know in the comments what you've been working on during this time, or if you were just observing and then planning to go back and do some work on yourself later, or if you did follow along with me, worked on your immunity. All the spots we touched on today are extremely helpful, for boosting that immunity and just getting you jump started for your day. Also, let me know how you liked the exercise that we started off with, the I Am Wellness. Okay, I'm going to close down here. Actually opening up my hips. I normally do this to jumpstart and get started, but this is also a good close down, as well. And I didn't do it today because I wasn't guided to start with that. So it just lets you know that we can't just be in routine. We really do have to follow the guidance, and it's not always a linear process. And though I like to do demonstrations kind of over and over of certain techniques so that you can master the mundane, so to speak, that you can ground this type of way of beingness, and then break off into doing some more advanced things. But at least if you do have to start with a routine of doing kind of the same thing over and over, it's good because it is building momentum, getting you into that practice, as you're learning your body and how to best support yourself in this way. But again, even with that, you have to follow guidance. You really do. Okay, so thinking that that's going to be all from me during this time. Thank you so much for being with me during my own Jumpstart morning session. And I'm definitely going to be coming back later and doing a few more videos and working on myself, but also doing some instructional videos, for you all, especially those who are just, getting started. So the publication that I shared, today is one of my, I call it throwback publications, and it's I Am Wellness, and it is a conscious healing journal guide for partnering and communing with Optimum Wellness. And there'll be a link below in the description of how you can secure a copy of that publication. And of course, as always, I love to feature my publication, I Touch Myself and I Like It. It's a DIY self-massage, Acupressure, Reflexology, and Wealth-flex-ology journal recorder. And there will be a link in the description as well if you would like to secure a copy of that. But all of these publications are available on Amazon. I always enjoy bringing you these types of videos, especially when I'm just organically here, in the raw, doing my own thing and inviting you into this experience so that you can create that kind of sacred time for yourself as well. So I'll be back with more videos of this nature and also others that can support your well-being. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day.